I'm Mel Stewart, and this is a GMM Podcast. Joining me today, we have the biggest female swimming star on the planet, Summer McIntosh, coming to us from the OTC, the Olympic Training Center, doing a 3-week altitude training block under Coach Bowman. Summer gave us a little over an hour of conversation here. She dives deep. She goes back to the days of Sarasota and training with Brent, how that dovetailed into going to France and training with Frank, the unique training she did there, and how that impacted Canadian trials and all those world records, and into world championships, and the exciting and emotional reactions that you saw at world championships. She dives into those and why she felt the way she felt. And she really opens up and she talks to us. She also shares the sickness and why she missed World Cup, which I thought was going to be a short answer. I was sick. And there's a whole ordeal that happened. And I think if you're an elite or you're a swim parent or a coach, I'm glad she shared it because you should hear it. And Summer also talks about the future. She talks about what's coming up in the near term, and she talks about 2026 and beyond. This was a good conversation. I think you're going to enjoy it. Summer McIntosh. Summer, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You look fantastic. And I knew you're at the OTC, and I was expecting to see you just like, I don't want to say torn up, but like just...
Yeah, that's how I feel on the inside, to be honest. But I pulled myself together after a little nap I had in between double session today.
I love naps. That was my first question. How do you feel about naps?
I'm a huge napper. I mean, growing up, we always used to have to wake up around 4 a.m. for practice. Not with Bob anymore, which is good. But you learn to the art of napping. And I used to nap for like 3 hours basically every single day. I've minimized it to around an hour and a half now, but I need a nap basically every single day.
I mean, with your workload, kind of makes sense. I think it's the swimmer way. So we buried the lead. Swim Swam has already gone live. You have signed with Arena. This was the biggest story that's happened this month. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a long time coming, I would say. And growing up, I always wore Arena racing suits, like when I was even 10 years old. And I think it's always been the standard in the swim community. So to be now signed with them and be a part of such an amazing group of swimmers. And I just was doing a photo shoot in Fort Lauderdale alongside like the other like most amazing swimmers in the world, like Gretchen, Thomas, Kate, Alex, etc., Greg, etc. So doing that and just seeing how team camaraderie and then all the people behind the scenes at Arena, it's been a dream come true so far. And I love all of their gear for training, racing, and I don't know, it's just nice to know that their technology is as good as it gets, and it gives me lots of confidence heading into training and along with racing as well.
Full disclosure, Swim Swam, I have to say this when someone says it, we are also an Arena partner. This is not an Arena commercial, but we do love Arena. Did Jack Spitzer do your capture? Did he take the pictures and do some videos?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was awesome to work with.
Okay, Jack is the chief photographer for Swim Swam.
Yeah.
He started with us when he was like 18 years old.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, no, and he has that company. He does that for us. He has his own company and he works commercially. But so yeah, I'm glad you hung with Jack. Jack's a good guy.
Yeah, that's fun.
We didn't know about this. Arena kept this under wraps. Usually Arena shares with us when they sign somebody, but you're a big name. And we were sort of like, whoa, but you are the cover of our year in review because of the, stunning performance at World Championships. And on the cover, you're wearing goggles and it's right there in the center frame, Arena. So you must have known something before we did.
Yeah, no, I've worn the Arena Cobra goggles for I don't know how long, like since probably 9 or 10. They've always been my favorite goggles and I've never, ever switched up on them. Every single practice, every single race, I've always worn those goggles.
Well, you should. Good for you. Yeah. All right. I like that. That's awesome. Some people care. A lot of people care about everything that's going on with you. But the nerds on Swim Swam want to get into the nitty gritty. They want to. So I want to cover a little bit of world champs since we haven't talked to you since then. But let's go back to Canadian trials. I have to ask you about the rumors. I think it was Brittany McLean. I'm not sure. Someone said Summer isn't rested for Canadian trials. So help us. The internet exploded because it exploded a few Summer. But so what happened there?
Well, I think the word taper and rest can be manipulated a lot. And for me, I've always been good with kind of a drop taper. Taper before trials and worlds was quite different. But I think the atmosphere home crowd, sleeping in an Airbnb. My mom's cooking my meals. Not a typical setup. I'm not in Singapore. I'm in Canada. I know the pool very well. No semis, no relays, not a lot of late nights. 5-day meet. It's very different. Heading into trials, I always look at as an opportunity to put down world records and the fastest time down, along with qualifying for the team rather than at a world championships or an Olympics. I look a lot more at placement. I just want to get my hand on the wall first. But trials last year was pretty crazy. I didn't expect to go that fast, but I think after the first night in the 400 free, it really carried the momentum on heading into my other races that I continue to do so well in. But I think I learned a lot about myself just taper wise. You don't need to always be fully tapered or fully rested to swim really fast. And I think if you look at the world records, I don't think there's any female world record set in Singapore. They're either set at Canadian trials or a TYR Pro Series. So I think it just kind of depends on the atmosphere outside of the pool that can kind of affect performances in water.
Yeah, you travel internationally. That's it. And in Olympics are uncomfortable. Olympics is not a comfortable meet. And having mom at the Airbnb cooking for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Driving me everywhere.
Was your mom a swimmer? Your mom was a swimmer, right?
Yes, she was. She went to the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Games and she did 200 fly. And she was also a gator.
I should know that. Oh my God. I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that. I should know that. It's amazing. No, my editor-in-chief, he's a co-founder of SimSum. He's like, yeah, her mom's fast. That was it. That was all I got. But I should be aware. So I was old enough to enjoy the 84 games and watch them. Trials was stunning. During trials, this is what I did during your trials. I called up guys and said, Summer McIntosh is faster than you are.
That's so funny.
Just no hello, just do. You thought you were fast. Summer McIntosh is fast. That was what I did during your Canadian trial.
What did they say?
They just said, you're slow too, Mel.
That's so funny.
There might have been some F-bombs and some funny metaphors used in those phone calls, but I was just letting them know. But and then it was like, oh my God, can you believe how fast she's swimming? Which is exciting. That 800 free was a stunner.
Yeah.
So that in that time would have won a world champs. Mm-hmm. Was that something that was in the back of your head when you touched the wall in Singapore? Like, I've been faster than this? Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot going through my head when I touched the wall in Singapore. I think the whole 800 free fifth event, adding that in was not a last minute decision, but it was 6 months before World Championships. Fred saw something in me that I didn't even necessarily see in myself. I mean, I used to do distance when I was around 14, but then I went back to my roots, which is more the IMs and middle distance. But I could have done the 200 free at Worlds, but I really wanted to do a challenge of training the 800, and the training group I was in, a lot of them are open water swimmers. So I know that I would get the training in and the distance training that I would need to in those couple months leading into Worlds. And I was really happy with my trials time, of course, 8:05. I never thought that with just a little bit more focus and distance training, I'd get that close to one of the hardest world records in the books. But obviously I was disappointed with my race in Singapore. And of course, Katie and Lani had amazing races. And it was really cool to see like 3 people kind of battering it out in the 800, which haven't seen in a long time, I think, on the women's side. But yeah, it was a really good learning experience. It was a really good challenge for me and it made me grow a lot as a swimmer. But yeah, I think when I touched the wall, I was obviously disappointed. I said my congratulations to Katie and Lani, and then I kind of had a moment to reflect. And then the next day I was focused on the 400 IM. And I think that's what's really important to keep in mind for me is being a multi-event swimmer. I have to have a really certain kind of very strong mentality and kind of digest bad races or good races as fast as possible and kind of move on to the next because I still had one to go. But yeah, the 800 freestyle, it definitely isn't my favorite event, but I think it was really cool to see how just a little bit more focus on the 800, how much better I could get at it.
There's a lot to ask about the 800 free. Let's just get to it. In the United States on NBC's telecast, they didn't show your congratulations and the internet blew up. Were you aware of that?
I was. It was brought to my attention and that really sucks, to be honest, because I would never do that. I mean, me and Katie have raced alongside each other for quite a while now and at a lot of smaller meets too, because we were both based out of Florida at US Opens or TYRs and things like that. And I always make a point to say congratulations to my competitors. And I vividly remember shaking her hand and obviously saying congrats because what she accomplished was unreal and it deserves all the credit, right? So, but yeah, then I did get out of the water, but I definitely made sure to a point to say congrats. So it was kind of weird that the camera angle didn't capture that, but yeah, that was kind of interesting to see.
In NBC's defense, they don't know what's going to happen. They're cutting all the
for sure.
They're showing, but I was a little bit peeved, and I was also kind of peeved but our editor-in-chief, Braden Keith, immediately tweeted, I'll throw up his tweet and what he said, but he basically said, hey guys, pipe down. She congratulated her, take it easy. Then he went on to say, okay, they had a handshake. And then he said, even if they didn't, it's absolutely asinine because yes, athletes are going to be disappointed when they lose. We should stop forcing them to pretend they're not. And so I want you to know that he came to your defense. Also, even in some alternate universe, if you hadn't shaken her hand, it'd be like, ease up. These are world-class athletes.
Yes, but I think no matter what, I would have congratulated any of my competitors. Win, lose, bad race, good race. I think that's just kind of the baseline of the sport. So, and I did that, right? But it was just, the camera didn't capture it. It was just bad timing with the angles. But yeah.
BBC in Canada, I'm sure they picked it up.
I think they might have, yeah. Hopefully.
I'm sure
there's proof somewhere.
No. Well, there actually is. No, he went in his tweet. He actually showed video and timestamped it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. I'm gonna throw it up so people can see it in this when we put this edit up. I should say this: we're recording this now because this is going to drop later because there's more information that has to dovetail with more information apparently that's coming out with your new partner Arena, and we also can get some interesting B-roll and images to throw into this video. But, when you were younger, I think everyone sort of takes the media and everybody's very, very nice. We treat younger swimmers differently, but it's you turn 18, you're an adult, you're also world class. It's different. I felt like I saw a different person at World Champs. I felt like I saw Summer McIntosh with more oomph behind the celebrations, and you let us into your experience more, showing us when you were disappointed. And I love that. Is that a conscious choice?
I think I'm just growing up and maturing. And I think the longer I'm in the sport and if people were to see the training and the hours that I put into it, it's just so much passion and it's so important to me. So emotions can run really high at big meets. And I had really big goals heading into Singapore. I wanted those 5 golds. So trying to achieve something like that, you put your whole heart, your whole soul, everything into it. And you dedicate a lot of time to it along with all my team behind me, Fred and all my teammates and my parents. Like everything was really just trying to support me as best as possible. So I think I'm just more outwardly now as I've grown up a bit. I think I'm more confident in myself. And like, if you look back to when I was 14 or 15, when I won my first world championship gold medal in the 2 fly, like I touched the wall and I really didn't have any expression. But that's just not really me anymore. I mean, obviously I was excited on the inside, but I think I've learned it's okay to show emotion and, celebrate the wins.
Sport is emotion. And I liked it. I really liked seeing disappointment. I like seeing anger. And because there is so much invested, there's so much. So I just pulled out the 800 free. You gave us the background on that. Let's just for the record, everyone should know if they haven't looked it up. You went 8:05:07 at trials. So we have to stay with the 800 free for just a minute longer. You said it's not your favorite, or we, some swimmers who swim 200 fly or other event, they'll train a little more distance to build base in a quad. Is that your process, or are we going to see that 800 free again?
I mean, I'm sure Bob will make me swim it again just because I obviously am pretty good at it and I know that I have more in me. Is it my favorite event? Will it be my 5th event? I'm not exactly sure yet. That kind of depends on event lineups, things like that, but definitely not the last time I swam it. No.
We're going to see more. Maybe a 7:59. I don't know. I didn't say it. Wait a minute. You didn't say that. I said it. It's just, I'm putting it into the universe because I want people to see things where their breath is taken away. Okay, stop at the 800 free. 200 fly. Okay. 200 fly. Let's get back to mom jeans. You got some mom jeans. How fast was your mom? Do you know your mom's best time?
I don't know. I think it was either 2:11 or 2:12. I do know she had on my second club team, eSwim, she had the club record for 17 and over age group. And my goal was to break that before I left, which I ended up breaking it. But that was really funny. But I don't know exactly her best time, but she was pretty fast.
Okay, I'm going to look it up. We'll double check and make sure. And I feel shameful that I don't know, but I'm going to check it out. We're going to find our time. But if it is that fast, that's fast. That's really fast. That's great.
Yeah, she was a really good swimmer.
Yeah, no, okay. All right, cool. So I got to stay with the 200 fly. You were 202. This is the one event that you improved on at World Championships, and that was it was my favorite event because of how fast you swam, the context of that world record being the hardest world record, and you went at 2019, and you looked like you were pissed off, and I was just like, yeah. So can you walk me through it? Take me through your experience with your really, I called it your best performance of World Champs.
Oh yeah, definitely was my best performance. Leading in, my goal with Fred was to definitely break the 2-fly world record. And it was a focus in training. Heading into trials, that wasn't really a goal. I knew I would swim fast, but I was happy with the 202 too. Because I think the reason I improved at Worlds compared to my trials time, because my fly is fully rested. It's just, that's the stroke that I think benefits the most off of taper. But leading into that final, I had full confidence in my training that I could break that world record. Even though it's like a pretty daunting world record, I would say it's the hardest one in the books on the women's side with the Super Sioux and all things like that. But I knew that it was a possibility, and if you believe in yourself, you're halfway there sort of thing. So then I felt amazing in the race. I felt so strong. I knew it was going to be close. And then the last 15 meters, I definitely took an extra breath, which is obviously fully on me and my mistake. And I knew it in the moment. And then I touched the wall, and then I saw 2:01. I was like, oh. And then I saw 0.9. I was like, oh. The more I digested it, like a few hours later, I was so happy with the time. But in the moment, I was being that close to my wildest dreams world record and just missing it, knowing that I could have done it if I didn't do that extra breath, which is shoulda, coulda, woulda. Obviously, you can say that about any race, but it was pretty blatant, I would say, for me. Obviously, you can see my frustration in that moment for sure.
That world record, a lot of, I'm not asking you to say anything about it, but there's a lot of people who've been watching this sport for a long time, and they don't know about that world record. It's a fast world record. There's a lot of history and backstory behind that world record, but I love that you came close. It was a great race. Loved your reaction at the end. Loved that you showed us where you were at. And it told me that this is not the end of that story. This was just a chapter. And on that note, I'm curious. I'm wondering if it's 200 fly. Is there an event where it's like that's your favorite event and it feels locked in and perfect and free flowing? And is
100%.
Fly or is it another event?
No, it's 100% 2-fly. I think a lot of people would maybe guess it's 400 IM, but no, I love 200 fly more than any other event. There's so many reasons. Of course, I'm good at it. My mom swam it. I just like, and it's one stroke, 200 meter distance. And I just love fly overall. And I can't really do the 100, so 200 fly is my favorite event for sure.
What's your PB in the 100?
I don't even know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I need to get more into the speed, I think, of fly. And of course, Bob's really good with developing speed, so that will help my front end. But yeah, I haven't swum on a fly long course in so long. I don't even know what I would go right now, to be honest. Okay.
For anybody listening, I'm going to put this in the show notes. I'm going to pull out your 100 fly PB, and I'm going to compare it to your 100 fly going out in your 200 fly because been very close. I bet they're very, very close. A lot of people think the 200 fly is daunting. It's one of those things when you're going through the funnel age group and they're like, oh, this is terrible. But if you know how to swim 200 fly correctly and you can flow, it's the easiest stroke because you swim downhill. Summer, are you swimming downhill in the 200 fly?
I mean, I don't know about that. I think fly is it's such an interesting stroke when at my best, like you said, it's like a flow and it comes very naturally. And honestly, I go faster in fly when I don't necessarily try my hardest and muscle through it. I just kind of let it happen and kind of get into the groove of my stroke. And easy speed's really important, that first 100 of the 2 fly. And I think a lot of the second half and being able to hold on the second half of the 2 fly is all of the distance training and freestyle training. Being good at the 400 freestyle gives me a lot of confidence in my endurance and aerobic capacity to kind of hold on that second half.
Broke some world records this summer. How would you compare, like breaking up, 400 free, 354, or your 400 IM is so fast. Or 23. How would you compare that to the 200 fly at Worlds? Is it where does that rank in your mind? I don't know if you'd sit there and go, "Oh, the better swim."
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say my best swim ever would still be the 354 in my 4 free. I think that's better than 2019. That was like an outer body experience, I think, but it was a total reflection of the work and training that me and my old coach Fred put in. But I think 2 fly and the 4 AM, that's a bit more iffy. I'd probably still say the 4 AM is above the 2 fly, but I think 2 fly would be third Yeah.
I was wondering if you might slip your 200 fly in there and go, yeah, the 201.9 was better than my world record, but that's pushing it. I would just say, which, because you're best in that world champs. When you touch the wall and you see 354.18, do you think in your brain, I should have been at 359, 353.9? Do you think that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, yay. And I like smashed the water and I was like really excited. And then literally like one of the first thing, obviously Fred like gave me a hug and said congratulations, but then we both kind of looked at each other like 54.1, like we could have been 53. And I think that mentality is something that I've always had growing up. Being in high level of sports, you always kind of want more no matter how amazing a race is. Like that's my best race of my career, but I was like, oh, I was close to 53. So I think that's what kind of keeps me pushing and moving forward.
This is such a brutal schedule. Is it daunting to you? Do you think about it? Do you is there an understanding of like, this is a brutal schedule? Is there any fear around it? Or is it just like, no, I got this unlocked. This is how I train. This is what I do.
Well, I think a lot about my schedule and for I am being on the last day of World Championships. When I get unmotivated in training or I get tired, that really gives me the extra I would say. But doing 4 individual events at the Olympics gave me some confidence. But doing 5 and adding the 800 heats and finals is a totally different ball game. And something that I've never done before. I've never done heats and finals of 8 free. My first time was at World Championships. But I think my training, I've never trained so hard my entire life like I did last season. And the amount of hours and work and time I put in just gave me full confidence that no matter what was thrown at me, that I could handle it. And I really did truly believe that throughout the whole schedule. But during it, of course, I definitely get tired. And there's moments where I'm like, wow, this is a lot. But you really just have to take it one race at a time and really try to manage heats and semis is really important as well.
Stunning performance in Paris, Canadian trials and World Championships. Incredible post-Olympic year. Did you have a sense that this is going to be an impressive year? It's a post-Olympic year, but I'm going to rip it.
I don't know. I think I took a break after the Olympics, which I usually do, celebrated, soaked all the moments up. But I think I always really wanted more. And heading to the Olympics, I wanted those 4 golds and then I fell short of that. So heading into Worlds, I wanted to do something new and push for even farther. But it wasn't really till January where the 5 golds was kind of in my mind sort of thing. Up until then, I was training well, did a little bit of racing, but I didn't really start locking in until January when I did my first altitude training camp with Fred. And just seeing how well I trained there, I was like, wow, I can do something really good. Doesn't really matter that it's the year after the Olympics, I still want to swim my fastest I ever have. And that kind of just motivated me heading into Singapore. Post-Olympic
years, most people roll back on their heels. And we're like in the middle of the Sahara Desert of the Olympic quad heading into 26. What can we expect from you? Is there any, what's in the mix? Are you going to test anything else out? Are we going to stay with the same lineup?
Definitely the core 4 will stay the same. 2 IM, 4 IM, 2 fly, 4 free. But definitely want to look back into 200 free because that was one of my best events when I was 14, 15. And I really love the 2 back as well. And then the 8 free as well too. So definitely want to keep expanding my events and things like that. But this season, I don't know. It's my first season with Bob, which is really, really exciting and a dream come true. But in his talks just the other day, he was already talking about what we do now in training, how we prepare, what we practice is going to have a direct impact on how LA goes, which I completely agree with. It's not just Olympic year where you lock in, you start training hard. It's the years of preparation and dedication and discipline and hours of training that you put in previously. So I think that kind of woke me up and I was like, wow, okay, LA is a little bit closer than I think it is kind of thing. But no matter if it's Olympic year or if it's the year after the Olympics or somewhere in the middle, I think I'm always just trying to put my best foot forward in training every single day and just try to keep pushing and moving forward.
I know Bob pretty well. Bob swam. Bob was a 100 flyer. Did you know that Bob was a 100 flyer?
No, I didn't.
Bob swam 100 flyer. It was a 50-point 100-yard butterfly.
Oh.
And he swam in South Carolina. I was in North Carolina. We're kind of close in age. And he was a legit swimmer. Swam at Florida State. And I disappeared from swimming for about 10 years. Came back, and he suddenly was coaching Michael Phelps. But he was showing this guy. He's like, this is a coach with mastery. He's really doing some amazing things. So anyway, I would say, hey, Bob, how would you train me 200 flyer? He goes, 400 free. But I'm wondering what it means when he looks at a Summer McIntosh. So how do you train someone for the 400 free, 400 AM on the schedule? And maybe the answer is 800 free.
Yeah, I think it's, if you look at, leading to Singapore, the lineup really just try to go into every training day thinking, okay, if I train to win the 800 freestyle and I train to win the 200 IM, everything else will fall into place sort of thing. Because those are like polar opposite events. I look at 200 IM as a sprint event for me, and then 800, of course, is distance. But I think, I mean, I've only been with Bob for about 2 months now, training wise. But I think I do some distance training here and there, but we have our speed days as well. And I have my fly days, I have my IM days. But he somehow like gets everything in for every event possible within a week, which I think is kind of amazing. And because it's very hard to balance all different strokes and different distances as well. But somehow he gets it done, and he gets it done super efficiently. But yeah, I would say my training is a dabble of distance, but mainly training for 2, 4 free, and then 4 AM and 2 fly.
It's his training. So describe training. I mean, you're so sometimes an Austin-based company. You were close. You're here. Austin feels like the epicenter of swimming for talent. I know you're up in Colorado Springs. I want to talk about that, but have you gotten into the flavor of Austin? You gotten into the culture?
A little bit here and there. I mean, I feel like I just got settled there, but it's such a cool city, and I'm living downtown, but I'm still only like 5-6 minutes from the pool. But it's such a cool city. I love the city side and of course the nature side as well. I've gone paddle boarding. I've gone to Barton Springs, which is really fun. But yeah, I'm just so glad that, Bob is training out of such a cool place, because it would be a lot harder if it was someplace that wasn't as enjoyable. And of course the weather is amazing as well. But yeah, it's just like the whole package, I would say, as a city.
For anybody out there listening, Barton Springs is this massive springs that is in a rectangle. It's a pool, and it's 68 to 74 degrees. Was it cold for you?
It wasn't that bad. Like, it was pretty hot out, so I actually liked jumping in because I was tanning. But it was cool. I put goggles on and I went down. I saw like the fish and I got a little scared, but it was still cool to see, and I'll definitely go back.
Does anybody recognize you in Austin?
No, I was recognized when I went to a Texas football game. I've been to 3 now. But it was like a swim parent, so it's kind of like within the world of swimming. But when I was in Sarasota, Florida, I was not recognized once, I don't think, which is like definitely different, because as soon as I go back to Toronto, as soon as I land, I people start to recognize me.
That's nice though, that you can have some anonymity and some privacy and be chill. I did a podcast with Reagan, and she was unaware of all the Michelin, and so was Shane Casas, unaware of all the Michelin star restaurants in Austin. So,
oh yeah, I haven't gone into that yet. I need to though.
I'll send that to your manager, Michael Copeland. It's Michael Copeland, right?
Yes, Michael Copeland.
Michael Copeland's your guy. You have a professional career. He's managing you. He's pro. He's a good guy. He manages well, and we certainly like him. But it's in terms of partnerships and in terms of the finances of being a world-class swimmer. You got Arena. Do you mind sharing who you're with and who the companies you work with?
Yeah, of course.
Please do. Just to kind of give people a sense. And I'm going to frame it this way. Most elite athletes are dependent. You can be on the national team, but only a tiny percentage actually get brand endorsements. And most of them rely on governing body support to fund their careers. But we do like to celebrate. We do like to acknowledge the fact that when an elite is working with brands.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, obviously I'm with Red Bull, I'm with Tag, and now I'm newly signed with Arena. I'm with RBC, Lululemon. So like all of my dream brands that I've ever I never would think that I'd be partners with any of them. And now that I am, it's really cool to see what swimming fast kind of the experiences it gets me. But they're all amazing to work with, and they all kind of fit well together, and they all match my values as an athlete and as a person. Just kind of wanting to be the best of the best at the top. And yeah, it's just been really cool to work with my dream brands.
The old adage, and a lot of some people, I hate them. They think that when an elite starts to make money and they start to get into the business of being a star athlete, that it takes away from who they are and their performance. And let's just say that isn't the case with you. This has been good. Has it been empowering?
Oh, 100%. I think it's partially validating as well, but also I think it's just another level of responsibility. I want to show and represent each of the brands that sponsor me as best as possible. But it's such a dream come true working with all of them. And it's so much fun as well that I think it's just a whole other side of the sport, more behind the scenes stuff that I get to do, like the photo shoots and things like that. And Red Bull has so many amazing communities as well. And there's so many connections with all of the brands that I work with that I think it's just so cool. And kind of seeing the more business side as well has been really cool to see, kind of 2 steps removed from the sport of swimming.
Let's get back to some chlorination. Just the next summer, Pan Pacs, you would have Commonwealth. So what does that look like for you? How are you going to manage that?
I'm just doing Pan Pacs.
Cha-ching. That's awesome. That's good though, because hey, it's a dry run. You're going to be in the time zone as for the Los Angeles Olympic Games, and it would make sense that you would focus there. In terms of your lineup, we kind of have a sense of what it'll be in LA 2028. In terms of like relays, I asked our editorial staff, like, hey, give me some questions for Summer. What are you thinking? Someone said, hey, what is her feeling on relays? And
I think relays are super important, and a lot of time and thought, especially at staging camp, is put into what relays are going to look like and how heats are going to go and how finals will be set up and legs and things like that. And usually there's 4 coaches that are kind of assigned to different relays for each gender and then each kind of event sort of thing. And I mean, anytime I get to represent Canada on the world stage, I take that with a lot of pride. And if they need me on a relay, I'll do it. The final decision obviously isn't up to me. It's up to the coaches and John, of course. So I kind of just go with what they truly think is best for the medal count and performance, and getting as many medals on the table and best performances on the table is always the most important for sure.
You want relays?
I do, but I think at the same time, if it clashes way too much with an event that I'm doing individually, and it'll take away from that performance, which could take away from a medal, maybe they won't put me on a relay, which makes total sense as well. So I think it's kind of a balancing act, and it's in the moment, and each relay is very individual to, where it falls in the lineup.
Have you ever heard the names Alex Bowman, Victor Davis?
Yes. My mom used to train with them.
Okay. So when I was a kid and on the national team and back in 1985, 86, they were still swimming. They were a big deal. They were huge. The Canadian swimmers were big stars. Everybody on Team USA's national team, on the women's side, wanted to go out with them. And I was jealous. I was like, what's the deal here? Why do people care about Canadian swimmers so much? But so you are aware, you know your swim history.
Yeah, I do. I think my mom definitely helps with that. She'll tell stories about going to the Olympics and her training group with back in the day. It's really cool to see how much swimming has changed. Like some of the sets she used to do was crazy, like 40, 200s fly. It's like, oh, I can never do that.
I asked Bob, I said, we did repeat 200 flies a lot. And that was a big deal. That's what you do when you swim 200 fly. And I asked Bob about it. He's like, yeah, Michael, I never had Michael do more than, he rarely did 100. Most was 50s. He goes, if I couldn't keep his stroke in place,
yeah,
it wasn't worth it. So for any old school elites out there, anybody listening who suffered through the 1980s, you're not going to be happy hearing that.
Yeah, no, I like rarely last year or anytime I've gone over a 50 for fly. Like the 50s are really fast, but I would do 100s here and there, but they would be more for working for 4 IM. 150s were like once in a blue moon, but I don't think I've ever really done a 2 fly. Maybe like when I was 15 once, I think I did one. And then one time I did 400 fly, which was crazy. But other than that, it's mostly 50s.
If I don't ask this question, everyone's going to be mad at me. You can say, nope, none of your business, but I have to ask it. Someone's going to say, hey, all these times are crazy. Does she want to put one goal time out there? One time that she'd like to hit in any one of her events where she'd be like, I want that.
Well, of course, I would say the 2 fly world record. I've been pretty open about that. Other events, I mean, I need to start doing the 200 freestyle again. Definitely want to get to 152 at some point in the near future, I would say. My other events, I think I just want to keep trying to shave off those world records. And then the 8 free, I want to get to 804, of course, as well. So, or faster.
All right. You're very transparent. We love that. Fantastic. You should be on the podcast weekly. We'll just talk about what we're going to do next. You missed World Cup. You were sick. Was it a bad sickness? Was it a virus? Were you happy that you didn't have to go? You're like, I guess take a break.
Oh no, I was so excited for World Cups, to be honest. And I was ready. It was about 2 days before, and it was just I think I just got pretty unlucky. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a severe headache. And then I just started to feel really terrible. I had a slew of symptoms, but it was mainly like a really bad migraine. And I saw many doctors, things like that. And they tested me for everything. And they kept telling me what I didn't have. But obviously I just wanted to know what I did possibly have. And still don't know exactly what I had. I think it was just some really nasty virus that really put me out. Never been so tired in my life. But they tested for mono, they tested for COVID, flu, RSV, everything. And then the only thing that they hadn't tested for was viral meningitis. So that's why I had to get a spinal tap. And by the time I got the spinal tap, I was already starting to feel a little bit better. But then there was a small complication from the spinal tap and I had a small leak. So anytime I would stand up or sit up rather than lying flat on my back, I would get a really bad headache. So it put me out of the water even longer than the sickness did. And for about 4 days, I just lied flat on my back and didn't move just to heal the leak. But yeah, it was just really bad luck, I think. And it really sucked because I was so excited to do World Cups. And also I was in such amazing shape before, and I was really pumped to see how I was going to race because Bob got us into shape really quickly. So then kind of losing a little bit of that training, not being able to move or exercise or swim was really frustrating. But yeah, I never figured out exactly what it was, but
That sounds horrible.
yeah, it was pretty hard. I think it was just kind of one thing after another as well.
The horrible part is, I'm sick. I missed. You really wanted to go, clearly wanted to go. But then to have this test and then for that to be the problem, for that to be more of a problem than actually having a virus and resolving from the virus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. It's all good now. I think I'm just more grateful to be back in the water. Still like a little bit wary and not at full capacity dryland wise, but Bob was amazing working with doctors, kind of figuring out how to ramp up training back. Because obviously I can't go from lying flat on my back to 100% back in training. Is that risks the whole opening again and creating the same leak and same problem. So yeah, still ramping up, but just glad to be back in the water.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, that was an ordeal. Well, I'm glad I asked because I thought you were going to just say, no, I was sick, couldn't go. But that sounds like an entire movie. A little bit of a
yeah, pretty much.
This is not how I want things to be in Austin, Texas for you.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been perfect. So
other than that, and you haven't gone to any Michelin star restaurants. I know that fact. I already interviewed Reagan. Reagan said that you guys would be training together, but I'm assuming because of you're kind of moving. I think Reagan will be specifying more with what she's doing going into 2028. I don't know. I'm guessing. And based on conversations, and I imagine your lineup is this big. So I have a feeling he's moving you around a lot in training groups. Can you let us into that world a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of all over the place. We do mash up sometimes in practice when we're both kind of doing fly. But other than that, I mean, I have to do my freestyle distance. I have to do my IM, and she's got her backstroke, right? Here and there, I think more here at OTC, we're matched up a little bit more because he's kind of keeping even the sprinters and the IMers kind of all under the same practice. But overall, we don't match up a ton, but obviously whenever I get to train with her, it's a good time.
You're at the OTC. So you're at the OTC now. Well, talk to us about that. You're doing a training block up there. Bob loves altitude training. Did you do a lot of altitude before, Bob?
Last year I had 2 altitude training camps with Fred in Fort Vergnoux in January. And then I think it was like May, I think. And before, I'd been to OTC before, like 3 years ago now, or it was Olympic year. It was the very beginning, like August, September with Brandon and the Sarasota Sharks. But we were really it wasn't in hard training or anything. We kind of just went, I think, to get the team together and just kind of doing and seeing how altitude went. But this is my first altitude training camp with Bob. And we're about, I think, almost a week in now. We're here for just over 3 weeks, the pro team. And it's so all the girls are staying in the dorms, which is fun. And then the guys have an Airbnb, but training's been good so far.
That's the BS right there.
No.
I don't know how that, I don't know about that. All right.
No. We had the option. We were all given the girls like collectively decided that we wanted to stay in the dorms together. We all have our own rooms, which is nice. But the guys chose an Airbnb over the dorms, which is fine. But
okay.
I think because they're also like 20 minutes away, and I'd rather just walk to practice than have to drive to practice.
I'm way more committed. You're way more committed to this than
I'm indulging in the OTC.
The OTC, just so anybody knows, the dorms are fine, but they're kind of uncomfortable. But it is proximity is nice. You can pop down, get snacks, get food, and you get to the pool really fast. But the idea of if I could stay in an Airbnb, I'd stay in an Airbnb.
Yeah, I mean, I might do that next time. I just think the girls were just like, yeah, it'll be fun, good bonding to stay in the dorms. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And like, we all I know Lindsay and Reagan and I think Simone, they went to Target and I had already Instacarted some stuff. We all kind of made our rooms, we got our own sheets and some decor to kind of make it feel more homey sort of thing. So
now, wait a minute. There's dorms and then there's the Michael Phelps apartment. Have you heard about this?
No.
No, he had a special room because they went there so many times. You have to, this could be lore, but I think it's true.
I know there's the Olympic team, American dorms, but those are under construction right now. So we're all in the normal dorms.
Okay. Okay, cool. Colorado Springs. Well, Bob loves it, and he thinks it's BS unless you do it for 3 weeks.
Yes, he did say if it's under 21 days, there's no point of going.
Yes, that's his thing. It's like you're going up there, you might why suffer? But if you're going to do 3 weeks, you're going to do 3. So he loves it. This is now your life. In Austin, you're going to be going back and forth doing altitude training. I hate altitude training. How do you feel about altitude training?
I hate it I don't hate it, but it's really hard the first few days with the travel and then obviously the altitude and new environment and then kind of setting up and getting settled. But now I feel like I'm in my groove and I'm used to the altitude, but I'd say the first week is the hardest and then it just gets better. I really do like altitude and I do feel like I get a really good benefit from it. Coming back, I think there's like maybe a week buffer zone where I don't feel the best, but then I kind of feel like superhuman after that. But I think it's the altitude and I think it's just the focus on training, no distractions, sort of thing. But yeah, it's been really fun so far. The team's great. And it's just like I think Bob called us like the Avengers or something. Like we couldn't be training with better training partners. And I think we push each other every day to get better, but we keep it light. There's lots of laughs and, any mealtime, super fun, things like that. But yeah, it's been a blast so far.
What does your schedule look like? Where are you going to be racing? You're going to be coming off of, altitude training. You're going to be superhuman for a period of time. Where are you going to race next?
US Open, I think, will be my first race, which is in Austin, which is awesome because I love the Texas pool. It's awesome to train at. So it's nice that that's there. And then doing some TYRs and things like that. But yeah, my first race back will be US Open.
Ariarne Titmus retired. Any emotions about that? Are you like, I want to get her? And now she's...
Oh, no. I mean, I think obviously like she was absolutely incredible and is absolutely incredible. And she's always been such an inspiration to me. 2 free, 4 free, 8 free. And anytime I got to race her, she always put up an amazing fight, of course. And she always pushed me to be better myself. So seeing that, she's closed this chapter in her life is really cool to see, she's achieved everything that she's wanted to. And now it's kind of take the next step outside of the pool. So I think it's really awesome to see. I know she's like commentating and stuff, which is cool. But yeah, always just such a fierce, amazing competitor. So huge congrats to her on her amazing career.
You're 19. I mean, you were 18 this past summer. You turned 19, August 18th?
Yes, August 18th.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. Really, really
Thank
late.
you.
There you go. You're 19, now you're an adult. But I feel like your horizon's pretty far out. I don't know if you're looking past LA 2028, but yeah, I feel like, Brisbane is definitely within your lens. But do you ever, I know you're young, but do you ever think, hey, this is my thing. This has been cool. Do you ever think beyond swimming? Do you ever think like, hey, I would like to do what Ariarne's doing? I would like to do media. I'd like to be in the industry.
I think right now I'm super, super focused on swimming. And of course, getting a university education I just graduated high school like over 6 months ago now, but that's really important to me as well. What's beyond that? I'm not exactly sure, but of course, really just focused on LA and I'll be 21 there. And then for 2032 Brisbane, I'll be 25. So I'll still be so young. And from now until then, so much is going to change, I think, and I'll grow up a lot. So I'll kind of figure out more what I want to do once one day I do leave the sport, whenever that time comes.
You're going to have a PhD in media and in business deals and in the entire industry. Because if you talk to Phelps, people think Phelps they think he's hyper-focused and it's just swimming, and they don't know how much of an expert he is across so many buckets. Learn to swim, mental health, business deals, the business of swim. It's like, yes. And yeah, he knows. You have a lot of exposure to that. And that is, you already have.
And I think also like swimming teaches you so much when it comes to hard work and discipline, where you can kind of apply that to any of your passions that you find after your career ends, sort of thing too. So
I want to go back to you. So you trained at Sarasota. That was, it was great for you. It worked for you. We saw the results. You have to make a choice to leave, and you made a choice to leave, and you went, like a pro. You went and sought talent in another country. And tell me about that process. Is it just like, hey, I've developed to a certain point and I'm going to go find some talent to go train under?
Yeah. So heading into the beginning of last season, I talked to my coach at the time, Brent, of how at some point I wanted to go train with a different team, just like for like a few weeks here and there, just so I could have training partners, because all my training partners had moved on to university. So I was kind of doing all my practices. No one could push me, which it's really hard to do because I had already done that for so long when I was 14 and 15. And he was completely supportive of that, of course. So then my old teammate on the Sarasota Sharks, Colin, was training with the team in France. And he was like, you should do this altitude training camp. It's only 3 weeks sort of thing in Bournemouth. So I ended up going there, met with Fred, had probably some of the best, up until that point, the best weeks of training in my entire life. And then went back to Sarasota for a bit. And then I had to go back to Europe for a sponsorship event. So then I was like, I might as well stay with Fred for this extended period of time and then come back from a meet. And that was at the point, my second training block with Fred, that I talked to Brent. And I was like, knowing my goals for Singapore at that point, I had swam 807 in the 800. And I was like, okay, I really think I need to go all in. And I think Fred can really get me there. And the training partners, it just makes the most sense for me to be with Fred for these last couple of months leading into Singapore. And he was completely supportive of that. We had a great run. I set my first 2 world records with Brent. He developed my IM back to where it was before I focused on distance as a 14-year-old. It was never my intention in the beginning when I first went to my first altitude training camp with Fred to stick with him. So it just kind of naturally unfolded over a couple of months. And I finally made the decision to move to France for those few months to train directly with Fred.
I think everybody appreciates Brent and what he did, because it's like some people have enormous talent and it doesn't work, and he made it work. But you're of course going to chase talent, seek talent, because you got to sharpen your iron. There were some crazy things I was hearing out of France. Were you doing cycling in like a hot room on a bike? What was that about?
I still think about those. Oh my gosh. The training in France was like, I felt like I was in like the Rocky movie. Like that was how, it was, we did in peak training, we would do 3 times a week. We would do this at altitude as well. 3 times a week, an hour sauna bike, super hot, but it was just like light pedaling and keeping your heart rate at a certain level, but for an hour, and you would just sweat so much. But we would do that 3 times a week, along with 3 weight sessions, 2 core sessions, and then 10 or 11 practices. I've never done so many hours of training than I had done with Fred.
That's unusual training. That's it's what zone? What's your heart rate when you're cycling in heat?
I think it was like 110, 120 around that.
Zone 2. So but for an hour, that's a lot. So there was a specific reason why. So lifting weights. I talked to Caleb Dressel. He told me his deadlift was 610. Or do you do any kind of weight training that's applicable to your average person that you can be like, this is my max?
I don't. I think the Sarasota Sharks really kind of brought a whole new light into my weight training, because we never ever lifted heavy. We would lift weight here and there, but a lot of it was body weight and high reps, which I think really worked at the time and for my events. So I don't need to be super bulky for what I do. And then with Fred, it was kind of more transition. We would do heavier weights, but still medium reps. Nothing like 1 rep max. I never really done that. I don't think I ever will, just because I'm not really a sprinter. And then with Bob, I get my program from Mike, who works at the University of Texas, who is amazing. And we kind of do kind of similar to Fred, but obviously different exercises. And we're 3 times a week. But we kind of hit all sort of things, legs, arms, core. But I've done so many different weight programs, and they've all kind of worked out, I guess you could say. But I think the biggest difference than maybe other programs is I don't lift super, super heavy. I don't think any of my weights that I lift are super impressive, I would say, but it's enough to get me. Obviously, I'm strong, but I'm not like ever going to be like, oh, I can deadlift this amount or I can bench press this amount. I mean, I'm getting there, and maybe one day when I'm older and more mature, and that's what I'll need. But for now, I'm just kind of building my strength up and keeping my agility and kind of trying to be lean and strong at the same time.
I'm fishing for something that I can clip out and put on Instagram. You just blew it for me.
I'm sorry.
Just blew it. You're like, I bench press 250.
Oh my gosh, no. Like, I don't even know I don't even bench press. So yeah.
No, swimmers, nobody does that. Nobody does that kind of training, but you probably do something in practice on a repeat on something, and you drop time in a workout that might be kind of eye popping. Would you share? Like if you've ever been in practice and it's like you did something in practice and you're like, that was fast.
I've never been like the super, super quality. I mean, I would suit up a lot with Fred, and I've had some amazing practices. I remember at the end of one set once, like we did a bunch of 50s fast. and some hundreds fast. And then we had to do a dive, 200 freestyle, suited. And I was a 155 long course, which was obviously pretty good for me. But I think my more impressive sets is if you look at like doing hundreds pace or a bunch of hundreds best average freestyle or 50s. Like I was Fred twice. We did this set once in January, once in March, suited. But they're a little bit different. The first time it was 36 100s best average on 130, all from a push. And then he, of course, added an extra one at the end from a dive. So it was 37. And there, I think my average throughout the whole thing was 59.9. And then I redid the set and it was 36 on 130. But then every sixth one was from a dive. This is at altitude, suited. And I was 58, 59s on all the push ones. So I was a lot better than the previous time. And then the dive ones, I think I was all 56s, I think. I think maybe my last one was 55. So that was probably one of the best sets I've ever done. But those are the kinds of sets that is kind of my bread and butter rather than just doing like one push, really good rep sort of thing.
And that's for the gram. And I have to call everybody that I called this past summer and during Canadian trials and tell them all how slow they are. That's because that set is a beast. All right, well, we're coming up on an hour and you're at the OTC and I know you got a lot of work to do. Have I missed anything? Is there anything that you would want to say or share that we didn't cover?
I don't think so. I feel like we talked about a lot.
We talked about a whole lot. And
yeah,
we're going to apparently look and pull up all your mom's data. And
I'm sure she would love that.
Your mom's good. Go. We've had conversations.
Oh, no. Yeah. She's like always like, I don't know. She doesn't like to talk about herself and her swimming career too much, but she should be proud of it. So
she should be proud of it. That was, she was doing it. All right. Well, we covered it all. You tell Bob that I need to say, I talked to Mel and he said that we need to train harder.
Oh gosh.
Not necessary.
I don't think so.
No. I think 21 days with Bob Bowman in Colorado Springs. I know you're enjoying it. That sounds like fun, but maybe we will look at the results going into the U.S. Open. So best of luck.
Yes. Thank you so much.